And then, oh yeah, let's go. Pike, no, giant, freaking giant. Oh no, I hooked a freaking turtle. No. What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. So today, I got a delivery. Check this out. What in the heck is this? That is a Wilderness Systems Tactical Pro 128. Literally just got this off the truck, and thank goodness for the wheels. This is actually the first time I got to use these from Malone. This is like the Traverse wheel set. Easy on, easy off. We pulled it off the truck, threw it on the wheels, wheeled it up the driveway here, which is a fairly steep driveway, and it went pretty dang good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna unbox this new kayak. I want to take a look at it, get the seat assembled, all that basic stuff. Let's see what we're dealing with, and then we should get it out on the water because this thing should already be pre-wired for my Motor Guide XI3. So I'm thinking we just throw the Motor Guide right on there, and all we should have to do is hook up a battery. Let's just see if it's that simple. We'll start there. Let's unbox this sucker, shall we? You guys, I couldn't find the seat. The seat is inside of the kayak. I was looking all around on the top deck and I was like, we're gonna have a problem here. No, it's in the front of the kayak. Look at this. You're freaking joshing me? What are you doing in there, guy? In the back, we got all these extra like decking cutouts, which I'll have to figure out where these go. And then the drop-in bucket comes out. Check this out. I actually forgot about this. I don't know, maybe they even updated this since this came out. There's a little tray back here and bungees for your battery. So your battery just sits right in that tray. It's designed for like 100 amp hour. Bungees go over top. Look at this. We already got our 60 amp breaker in the back here near the battery where it's supposed to be. And then there should just be your basic connectors right there. Look at that. Pre-wired, ready to go. Also a little highlight, best of category ICAST. I'm gonna leave that on there forever. All right, you guys, we got it all put together. Let's take a quick walkthrough on this thing. And then I'm actually gonna take this over to Paul's house, and we're both gonna take turns hopping on this thing and jetting around the lake a little bit and see what the stability is, how this thing moves in the water, put it through the ringer. We'll give you guys our review on this thing on that first day out. And then we're gonna fish out of it obviously for a while, so we can give you a long-term review a little later in the year. Let's go through it. All right, so starting from the back, we can easily mount a motor or a power pole back here. You've also got 2 track mounts in the back, which is cool, and a bunch of these removable plates. Now, one thing I didn't notice before that I've noticed now, if you guys can see it, might be hard in the shade here, they've actually traced out the Anderson connector for you. So that's pretty sweet. All you got to do is match this, drill your holes there, cut this out, and you can put a flush mount Anderson connector there, which is like, to me, the ideal waterproof connection. We got the rear hatch here, so we can access the hull on the inside. You can see the steering tubes right there because this is actually pre-plumbed for foot steering. They really thought of like everything with this setup. I'll show you a couple of things that I had issues with here in a second, but showed you this before. We got the breaker back here, cables on the inside, drop your battery in and rig it up. You're good to go. The hull and frame of this is like pretty tall, and then we've got deep scuppers in there. So I'm not gonna use any scupper plugs or valves or anything the first couple times we're out. We'll see how much water comes into this thing. I doubt much will come in at all because it's so tall. So bucket style seat. It looks fairly comfortable. Let's see how we feel here. Yeah, not too bad. Now the issue that I had with this, and you can adjust it, you can kind of like tighten the straps on this to make it more firm or rigid, which would be ideal. Now one thing I noticed about this is that it is pretty deep, so you have to sit back pretty far in it. It does have a swivel. Now check this out, there's something cool here that I just figured out. So you actually attach a bungee underneath, and then when you swivel, it actually returns to center for you. And I thought that was kind of neat there. Also, it has this lever here, so you can actually slide the whole seat forward or back with one hand, which is nice for adjustment purposes. And it just mounts with 2 thumb screws. That's actually like a hex key right there. So you lock that down, and then the back, it just locks under this little pad there. Got your foot pads throughout. They actually covered the whole surface. I like that, so that'll be comfortable on the hot summer days. Got another drillable mount right here for your transducer probably. And then up here, this is one of the coolest things about this kayak. This actually passes through, so there's really deep storage up here. You can throw all your tackle in there. You don't even need a crate. Or you fill up with water and make it a live well. Just kidding. I mean, you could if you wanted to. And then up here, big storage with a removable bin. So that flips up. It's on a hinge there. Hinge is it's a little loose on this hinge. I don't know what that's all about. Not gonna worry about it right now. And then we've got this drop-in bucket that is removable so that you can access the inside of the boat. So that's pretty neat. Got a little accessory kit here, which is going to be your motor retractor. Oh, that's pretty smart, which connects to this clamp that goes onto your motor. I like that. And then the Anderson connector. Now, the issue I'll run into is I don't currently use an Anderson on my trolling motor, so I have to replace the other connector on my other kayaks that I use if I use this. So we'll have to plan that one out. I'm going to have to think about that. Then we go to the front. You can see we got the two handles here, easy to hold. Here's our mounting board. I just got to put another puck on here so that I can have the quick release for my bow mount. And then you actually have a release here as well, which I just figured out where this is. So this is to drop or retract the motor. And then in the back, look at this. The handle is right next to the seat. So you just pull that handle and that will release the motor off the front. That is really well thought out. I like that a lot. And then, yeah, tons of track throughout. There's actually this track that they mounted right behind the seat, which is pretty cool. And more track in the back so that you can lock down your crate after you put your battery in and all that. Overall, I'd say it's a really cool looking kayak, and I'm excited to get this thing on the water. So let's head to the water. Let's test this thing out. We got to load it up on the trailer, and we're going to be using our Malone trailer for the first time too. Here it is back here. Look at that. Ain't she purty? So this is the off-road micro trailer for two. So we can load up two kayaks on here. I'll have to adjust the bunk boards because I think this kayak's pretty wide underneath. So we'll have to see how it slides onto these things, but we're gonna figure that out. All right, so we got it flipped over. So I like this is where we're gonna get a flush mounted transducer. So we just flush mount right there. I could probably get a protective cover too for that, maybe from Yak Hobby, I'm thinking. Throw that in there. And then that does come through where we thought it would, right here. Neat. Then you can easily run the wires through that replaceable plate. And back here, there is actually a skeg that drops down. There was a pull tab for this up front. It was right here. Oh yeah, not bad. So we got a fin skeg that just drops down like that. And we'll just bounce off of whatever cover you hit. Neat. All right, nerds. We got the kayak out, we got it rigged, we figured a lot of stuff out, and we're gonna walk you through what we found. Our gripes, our wins, and what is now rigged, because this is hitting the water tomorrow, which you'll see in a couple of minutes. So let's go through it. So we have the bow mount installed here. Now, this was pretty neat because it really only took 4 bolts. I'm not gonna take it like all the way off, but just show you guys. So all you have to install on this is you add this puck. This is the quick release puck that you get for really anything. If you have a motor guide, like the olden days, or if you have like the new Tarova from Minn Kota, you're gonna get this quick release plate, and all you need to do is install that puck, and then you got the plate on the bow mount motor. You pop that in, you have this little safety rail, goes in, and you're locked, you're good. So when we installed this, one quick gripe. I would love to see Wilderness Systems use brass inserts for that, because what you actually have to do is you have to drill through the hull of the kayak and then grab a washer and a nylon locking nut, and you hit that on the back inside of the hull. So we've got it locked down. I wish I didn't have to drill through the hull. I feel like brass inserts could solve that, or a backer plate on the inside would be nice. Something like that would be good. Otherwise, very simple, easy install. Flush mount Anderson connector was already there, so all we had to do is I had to cut this wire to my trolling motor, and Wilderness Systems included a new Anderson connector. So you just pop that on and you're good, and now it plugs right in there. I like that setup. I think it's really clean. And this starts one of our big old gripes. Now we're gonna be creative with this. We're gonna solve this problem, but here's the deal. On the inside of this is like prime space for a big battery. If I'm gonna run 1 or 2 Garmin's. A lot of people like the dual screen setup. If you're running fish finders and you want your battery up here, which a lot of people will, and you're not running like a small fish finder with a small battery, like a Naqua battery, this one we got from Yak Attack, this is 20 amp hour, and you can daisy chain these and make them 40 amp hours if you want to. These would fit in here, no problem. Nice and easy. The problem is the wiring, right? So this lid, it has what looks like was made to potentially be like a recessed port for wires to come out, but isn't. It actually shuts all the way. So you would have to drill through this bin and run your wiring somewhere else. It's definitely not ideal. And the other option is with like Naquas, for example, you could do this and you just strap it around this thing and then there's your battery. It's not going anywhere. You could do that. It's just not as clean. I don't love that. So we were wondering if I wanted to run a 50 amp hour battery or a bigger battery, where the heck do I put it? If you look in here, there's just really nothing in here. So there's nowhere to put this thing.
There's a ton of room.
There's a lot of room. It's cavernous, but in the back, I think I showed you guys already, there's a little battery tray, like just ready to go. And they didn't put one up here, but they have this cutout here. Like they wanted you to put a battery underneath this. There's just nowhere to put it inside the hull. So for example, if I had a 50 amp hour battery like this X2, I can put it in there, but it just kind of like floats around and there's nothing to strap it or tie it off to. It'll fit, no problem with this bin in there.
You can fit 3 of them in there.
But I mean, let's just put a tray. So we're gonna craft our own. We just wanted to point out, like, it would be cool if they already have the design, they already used one before, they should just have one of those right here too. The other problem is for my forward-facing sonar people, you have this additional unit that you have to use and it goes on the inside typically, but there's nowhere to put it. So it would be cool if they're already using starboard for all these different components. Like this is starboard, the back is all starboard. They're using it on this. If we just had an extra piece that was attached to this, the back of this bin on the inside, then this could be easily mounted in there. A battery could be strapped down. So bottom line, we're gonna build our own and we're gonna do it ourselves. But it would be cool if that was something that was already included. There are a lot of positives with this build, obviously too. So for example, you've already got this, which is a challenging thing to rig on a lot of kayaks and ends up, causing a mess. But they've already got this pre-plumbed. They've got the tube going through there, so it's watertight, and you just attach this carabiner. And what that does is it allows you to pull this little thing over here.
Hold on, the people want to see it.
So they have a handle right next to the seat here, and if you look at the foot pedal as I pull this.
Hold on. Do it.
Pa-pow! That's it. That's all you got to do.
And what do you do after that?
You give it a little push.
Shovey shove.
And then you hold this cable right here, and you're good. Right? So I think that's really clean. I like that they did that and they positioned it right next to the seat. When I rigged up my Native Titan X, like I had to do a whole bunch of other crazy things to make that happen. So this is just a really clean setup. Plus they include this collar with you, which is the single best way to retract this motor. Previously, I just taken a piece of rope and tied it around this thing and it was just annoying. So I think this is a really clean way to do this setup. I like it a lot. Another thing that they include with that kit is these little retractor guides so you can guide the cable up out of the way. It includes 3. One of the problems is if you put all 3 on, your cable ends up being back here. And if you guys have ever used a bow mount motor, what will happen a lot of the times as you're using spot lock is it'll rotate, it'll pull your rope. And if you have those in place, it's just gonna get jammed. So I was concerned about that, so I took out the guides.
2 ropies don't like to play together.
Yeah. All right, so moving on back. Captain's bridge position right here. We think it's okay. There's some potential issues. We're gonna test this more when we hit the water tomorrow. The biggest issue that we found though up front here is that when you want to wire this, there's a port here and there's a port here that's already half used. So they already used half of this front plate here because you have this recessed Anderson port. So you can put like one Yak Attack through hole right here, and then everything else has to go through this. But if it goes through this, unless I move my captain's bridge here, which would not allow me to use these bins that we'll talk about in a second, then that doesn't really make too much sense. So I want to use the captain's bridge here so I have access to everything, but there's no pass-through plate here. And it really should be. Like, I would love just one right here at least, if not 2. There's room for it. But in this case, you're just gonna have to drill through the hull, use the Yak Attack through hull. It's just not ideal. This would be much better up here. So just, again, another thought on that. So moving back to these bins, we think this is a really cool concept. It's actually built on starboard. You can stand on this. They include this little foam padding that you just stick on yourself when you get the kayak. And then you can like walk up here. This is a standing platform. It's all good. It's going to be super stable. I'm excited about it. They're pretty heavy duty on the latches. They open up. Here's the thing. Where are them bags at?
Also, before you ask, no divider.
There is no divider, which is like good and bad. I guess you could look at it as pros and cons. What I would really love to see with this, like I feel like this should be one piece, like just one lid. If we had one lid, we could fit a lot more things. So let's put our tackle up here. So if you have a small bag of plastics, no problem, perfect fit. If we have a medium-sized bag of plastics, not a perfect fit, but it does fit. If you have a big bag of plastics, it's not happening. If you take a 3600 size box, now this is a bulky one because it's a Busby, but it just kind of shows you, you gotta turn it and drop it in there. Totally can do it. If you have more than one box, that's not gonna work because you have to angle them out. So for the most part, you're basically taking really small bags like this, or you're just taking your individual bags of plastic baits and just throwing them in there versus boxes or anything else. What we think would have been cool with this is if this was a single lid, so one lid, maybe even two latches on it, it would open up a lot more space in there. You could put full-size boxes in there. You could have 3700s in there and all of that. So the other thing is this would be really cool as a spot to put your battery, but the opening's not big enough to fit my battery in there. But the size of the bin is big enough for a battery to fit in there. So again, I just feel like kind of a missed opportunity. Again, really cool concept. I feel like there's a few things that if tweaked could make that amazing. And now you'll notice that the fish finder's not plugged in. Again, we're talking about where does my battery go? Where does my wiring go? We didn't want to drill a bunch of holes when we weren't ready to make that decision. So we're actually talking to a bunch of people who also have this kayak. We're going to brainstorm together. We'll come back to you guys with a full rigging video once we are ready to go with that. And like everybody's dad should have told them, you should measure twice and cut once.
One of our favorite parts about this kayak is actually how open and spacious the cockpit deck area is where you're going to actually be working and fishing. Like there's nothing here. They did give you a space to have your catch board. So when you're in a tournament, you want to measure, you get that. They have a molded in little bait graveyard here for all of your baits. When you're done with them, you just throw them in there and they kind of stick. There's two of them. I absolutely love that. They do have pre-tapped spots here for you to mount foot steering later on, should you decide to have that. We'll show you where the motor goes in the back, but foot steering for that. And then they pre-plumbed the wiring. So there's a tube that runs from here all the way to the back and guides your lines for your foot steering that are gonna steer your rear mount motor, which is hopefully gonna be a Newport, because that's the one that I would put on here, the 300 specifically. They also put another plate right here. So forward-facing sonar, power for lighting, button controls, all that kind of stuff can go right here. And you have access, because you can get your hand in there, to wire things up, which is extremely convenient. There is more storage space under here. So your storage tackle box, you'll notice while this slopes down, they leveled it out for you. So when you slide your boxes in, they're actually sitting level. They're not going to slide. They're not going to slide out and get in the way of your feet. I really like that. Really just like little thoughtful molded in details. Another thing to point out, we took this for granted, but the track running like the width of my arms is actually super nice, right? So you have a lot of flexibility here, and you do have a double hand space here for you to use this as a handle. Now, this is just metal underneath. What I like to have seen what Old Town did with the PDL Pro, where there's like a plastic handle under here, and it's like a real handle, I would have liked to have seen that. But this is still a really just simple solution just to give you another place to grab the kayak. Moving back to the seat. There's a lot of really cool stuff that I think is pretty rad about this seat. Jeff and I actually got in here when it was all mounted up like this and wanted to get a feel for how far everything is, because this is a ton of space. You're talking about like probably, I don't know, 50 inches, 40 inches between like where the seat is and where you would like start having control of things like your unit, your storage, maybe your buttons for controls, whatever it ends up being. So this is a huge amount of space. You'll notice the seat is a little longer. Like this is maybe 4 inches longer than a normal seat, and it angles down here. I was nervous. It's like, oh, am I going to be sitting too far back in the seat? Is it going to be uncomfortable? The seat is pretty firm. I like a firm seat, but it also, because of this slope down, when you scooch forward in the seat, you want to reach way to the front of the kayak, you actually still have a place to sit, which is really nice. You're not like standing up to do all this work. And Jeff and I both tested it. I am like 5'10", 5'11". Jeff is 6'2"-ish. I'm looking for you to nod. He's nodding. So Jeff's like 6'2", and we were both able to comfortably reach all the way up to the front. And this does actually move back and forth like so. So you can customize this for you very easily. A couple of other thoughtful features. It is a swivel seat. People love the swivel seat. They kind of went the next level. There's a bungee cord right underneath here. And what that bungee cable does is after you turn this way, you get what you want on the back of your kayak. You grab your rod, stages, you catch fish, whatever. there's a little bit of assist there. It's going to bring you right back to center and keep you there so that you're not, while you're working and things like that, you get a little bit of back tension. So you're not just like swiveling around. I like that. They did another cool thing with the bungee. They put this one under here with a hook. Why? Well, when you're in transport, you don't want your seat flying back up. You no longer have to worry about that. There's a place to hook it in and it's going to hold it down for you. I thought that was like, again, just a nice little bonus. Never would have thought to do that, and it is a nice little feature. So I think they crushed it with a seat. Jeff already showed you the retractor handle for deploying and pulling up your motor, which is really nice. There's also a skeg control tab right here, so you can deploy the skeg very easily. And the skeg just happens to also be on a spring. So when you hit something, your skeg's not gonna just get absolutely wrecked. It's kind of a no-brainer. I really like that. We kind of have been looking that up on basically every kayak that we've built and been in for a long time. There is a ton of room back here, and there's a lot of different ways because of the way the track is that you can mount any size that you want. This is the 16 by 16 crate, but any size crate that you want can be managed pretty easily here. I will show you, we did mess around with battery location. So if and when you elect to put a motor on the back of this, a rear mount motor, you're gonna need a battery to power it. Now you have a couple of options. You can stash it with the battery in the front. There's a ton of room under that drop-in bin. You can fit this one in there. This is a 24 volt, 50 amp. You can fit this in there, no problem, and a larger battery if you needed to. But your other option, because the kayak's so big, it's got the dual tunes, you can put it back here, no problem. You're still gonna be fairly well trimmed. So your options are, one, you can move your crate all the way up to the front, not a big deal, it's gonna fit in there great, and then you can mount it right back here. Nice thing about having it in this location is that you can have tie downs and you can actually strap this down, the battery down, and there's this little C decking so that it's like not moving around. I really like that option. That's probably the way it was designed and intended, but the way I typically like to do my battery location is I like to push the crate back, especially with a swivel seat. Especially with a swivel seat, it's so easy to reach back here that I used to put the battery right here. Now, they do kind of have this funky spot. Like, I don't really know what this is for, if this is just for convenience, but you can put your battery right here, like that. And yes, there's a track here. You could use that to strap the battery back. That would work just fine. Or you can go from here to here, and then you just scooch your crate right up like so. However you decide to do it, the reason I like that, you get the handles out of the way, is when it's like this, it doesn't get in the way of the swivel seat. But it also creates space for you to get back here, and you're not bashing the back of your seat against the top of your short stack or your crate. You do you. There's enough space in here to do whichever you prefer. You can even go side to side. There's even that much space. You could turn this, and I mean, you got tons of room. God, this thing is huge. Jeff already showed you where you put your big battery for your trolling motor, your 100 amp hour. You may have noticed that this breaker was actually back here. Now the funny thing is there's a trip switch. If you hit this switch right here, if this button gets pressed,
Hit it.
it actually cuts the power to your motor. And we noticed that our...
Oh no.
Not good. We noticed that our power kept turning off. So what we noticed when we had the black pack on here and it was pressing on this lid, and it was like compressing the lid just a little bit, because it is heavy. That thing's probably 45 pounds.
Hey, I need a lot of tackle.
There's
a lot of fish to catch.
And that's a large amount of tackle.
I'm gonna need it.
It's a large box. What we were noticing is that this switch, because it's like deeper than the lid, was actually hitting the top of the battery, which is kind of nuts. And again, because that was right here, and it's very slight, but this is actually sloped upwards. So it was at actually the lowest point, and the battery was at its highest point, and now it's back because the button's not pushed. And it was actually turning off the battery. So what we did is, we were very lucky that inside of this hatch, there's actually like a gridlock number of screw bolt positions for you to actually move this around if you wanted to. So what we did is we relocated it from here to here. We just had to undo 2 screws, move it over, and now it's totally not in the way. So even with the black pack on there, we were able to get around that. Very admittedly small, but kind of a big deal if you get on the water and realize, like, oh gosh, where is my power? You might think you had a short, a wiring issue, whatever. Nah. We fixed that one pretty easily, but that is something to note. One last thing I want to call out is there's a ton of hull access back here, and it kind of doesn't look like it, but obviously even if you didn't have this monster bin to access all the way back here, when you go to install your plate, all you have to do is pop this back, and you can actually get all the way to I'm touching the very back of the kayak. Would I have liked this to be an 8-inch instead of what I'm guessing is a 6-inch? Sure, very, very small gripe. You're not gonna have a problem getting in here. And then you have these plates as well. Overall, I think it's a well thought out rear section of this boat. And yeah, rigging it out is gonna be a piece of cake.
All right, y'all, first trip on the Wildy, starting in the muck. Let's go. Also wearing these new Columbia shoes. Hopefully they like being wet. And if they don't, too bad, because they're getting wet. All right, shake out the shoes. Shoes. Push up. Okay. Well, that's pretty stable, I would say. And we have no power. Awesome. I don't know if we must have unplugged the battery, or the battery came unplugged somehow. I'm gonna have to test that in a minute. So fun. It's so fun. All right, why do I not have power? Oh, because that slid over. There we go. I have power. Back to the front of the boat. Huzzah. Guess what, y'all? It's stable. Surprise? I'm not. Spot, lock, and drop it. Spot, lock, and oh my God. That might be the worst spot lock move I've ever experienced. I don't know if it's because the motor's like cockeyed or what. That was wild. This is pretty neat. You can have rods staged up all over the place. So I currently have, am I recording? Yes. So I currently have rod, 2 rods, and behind me, 2 more rods. So you could easily rock 10 rods in this boat without them ever being in your way. That's kind of cool. All right, so motor seems to be working pretty well. Now, I don't have any fish finding abilities today. Is what it is. I am just gonna fish around and find out. Standing area in this boat is huge. Absolutely monstrous. See how comfortable I feel standing and driving. Oh, that's pretty good. I honestly feel just like a really similar stability to the Unlimited. The one big issue I had already so far was the spot lock engaging, which is pretty common on the Motor Guide XI3. It's just not a subtle engagement. See how it goes this time. You gonna try and kill me again? Kinda. It seems like, is this just me? Like it feels like it spins a lot more than if I were spot locking with my Unlimited. All right, I want a spinnerbait on. I just feel better that way. So we're gonna retie real quick. We're gonna throw on this one. Oh, got him. Bass. Nope. Baby gear on. Hey. Nice. It's definitely bigger than this. All right, buddy. See ya. And then, oh yeah, let's go. Pike. No, giant. Freaking giant.
You want help?
Turn. Come here. Oh my God. That's a tank. Holy crap, dude. Let's go. Yeah. Hey, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't have a scale, so. Sure.
That's 3 1/4?
At least.
He's chunky.
That's pushing 4.
He's tall.
He's
tall.
Shoulders slammed the spinnerbait. I haven't even thrown a spinnerbait yet today, so now I'm like,
Exactly.
okay, hang on, 0. Okay, cool. Go. 3, 4, 3, 4. I was close.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's right. This one goes on it's like a 10-point scale.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, there we go. Am I recording? Yay, I did it.
That's awesome.
First
man.
big bass in the Wildy.
Dude.
Oh, this water is actually warmer than I thought. Was it like 65, 70? Let's go. Dude, doubling up on some big
I
ones.
know, right? Within like
2 seconds.
Hey, guess what? You got a good spot there, pal.
I literally was like, oh, Paul just caught on the jig. I'm going to put on a jig.
I will also jig.
I will have this spinnerbait get 1 run though. And then it was just 1 cast. That's a fish. What? Oh no. I hooked a freaking turtle. No. Why? I'm so sorry, buddy. Okay. I got you. You're gonna try and bite me, I know. Dang it. Oh no, he's pulling it into his shell. Shoot. Dude, this is a little bit absurd. I have never done this. I can tell you guys that much right now for free. He's trying to jam it into his shell. What if I do this? What if I just get this like this? And we just give it a little pressure. Could I do that? Potentially. If I do this, and then I do a little pressure. Got him. He's out. Oh, that was messed up. I think he was on the back of that post. Okay, well, I caught a turtle. Not ideal. I can honestly say I've never done that before. Let's try and catch fish instead. What do you say? There's bass. That's a big bass coming back for you. They are on beds over here. I just figured it out. Hang on, I'm gonna get that bass off that bed. Jig on here, we should be in like a really good spot. Bass off bed. Oh, I have him. Got him. He took it. He ate it. Oh my gosh. Yes! Good fish too. Good fish. He freaking ate it. Oh my gosh, yes. Come here. Oh gosh, got him. Let's go. Dude. Fully engulfed it. Yes. Co-pilot for the win. All right. Oh, mama, we got to get you back. I'm getting her back. Hang on. Bed's right there, you guys. Okay. She was ready to go. Bed's right there. So we're right by the bed. Okay. That was really cool. All right, you guys, been fishing out of the Wilderness Systems Tactical Pro 128 for a little while now today, and I think that I can give you some fair impressions, you know, just first trip out. I will say, number one, starting with the bow mount, if you've ever used a bow mount that is straight on, it does what you think it would do. When it is offset, which this isn't the only model of kayak that does that, the new Old Town 120 Pro actually does that as well. It's a little different. I told Paul earlier, like the first time I hit spot lock today, it swung harder than it normally does. Now the Motor Guide XI3 is known for trying to throw people out of their kayaks. That's what it does really well. It will eventually spot lock, but I recommend you sit before you hit the spot lock button. That is my 2 cents. All right, so watch that plate real quick. Yeah, if you hold on, you'll come with me. See that flex? One more time. So there's a lot of flex to that front plate section. The reason I believe that is happening is because there's no backer plate on the inside. I think they would do better if they had starboard on the outside, starboard on the inside, sandwich that sucker, you're good to go. Because you could also go longer on the inside, and that would add a lot of reinforcement to the plastic. Now, is that gonna rip out of the boat? I don't think that'll ever happen. It's just something to point out. And actually, you might have noticed this, maybe you got my detectives out there, my sleuths. Watch this from this angle, from the back right side. You can see, it's a windy day. You can see that the bracket actually kind of does this, right? Again, we just want to point these things out so everyone is aware. So some people feel flex could be an issue in like hotter temperatures. I don't know, we live in Michigan, irrelevant for us. It's just not going to be a big issue, but something, again, to make note of. I did find standing up here, pretty fun, pretty stable. I had a lot of fun. It gives you an extra, you can see like, I don't know, 4 inches of height. So a little better for sight casting, sight fishing, all of that stuff. So that's pretty neat. I love the open deck. There is so much room to walk around in here. That has been a pleasant surprise. Not a surprise. That has been a pleasant experience. Been very happy with that. Early in the day, probably didn't see it because like the chesty was in the way, but I had a little power issue. What happened? In transit, the battery slid around, and the problem we told you guys about with the breaker back there, the breaker had switched off. So I had to move the kayak, or I had to move the crate while I was out on the water, take it out, move and reposition the battery. I'm gonna find a way to lock it down out of the way, because once it's out of the way and the breaker is down there, it doesn't end up hitting the... Hey, we got a fish. Paul has a fish. Quick break for the fish. Decent medium bass on the lake vacuum from Great Lakes Finesse.
Heck yeah, bro.
I mean, heck yeah, brother. Yeah, so if you reposition the battery, as long as it's out of the way, that you don't end up hitting the switch to flip the breaker off and cut your power. So that is something important that you need to know with this kayak. Ooh, we broke something already. So these little hinges right here, they are flimsy AF. This is not a Wildy product. They didn't make this. This is just something they're utilizing. It still snaps shut with the one hinge, so you can still be weatherproof, but it kind of sucks that my hinge broke, so that's annoying. I'd say overall, stability has been great. Now we have both used the Hobie Pro Angler, and that is kind of like when we think big kayak, we always compare them against the Hobie Pro Angler. If the Hobie Pro Angler, the living room on the water, is the most stable kayak we've ever been in, we consider that like a 9.8 to a 10. We consider it a 10.
That's a 10.
So we consider the Pro Angler a 10 out of 10 stability wise. Everything else is comparing against that. That's our opinion. Now, being in this, I will give this an 8.8 out of 10.
Oh, that's good.
It is very stable. It has this like tippy nature to it, right? You can kind of see. But because it's a pontoon style hull, so I got a tune over here, tune over here.
You got tuners everywhere.
We got tuners everywhere. You always get nice stability. That said, depending on the overall shape of the design of that hull, you might get a little tippiness, and it's going to engage that secondary stability right away. So I stood up and I was like, whoa, and I got my sea legs pretty quick. So it's just, that's what it is. I got my
Great Lakes legs.
I got my lakes legs. So my lakes legs.
My lake legs.
My lake legs kicked in real fast, so just want you to be aware. It is hyper stable, and because of the depth of the hull as well, you're gonna feel very confident out on the water. So overall, I've been very happy with this. Again, our next step is let's go ahead and rig the heck out of it. And speaking of riggability, this thing is so simple to rig. It's pre-wired. You can slap a bow mount on here with drilling 4 holes up front, drop those bolts in, washer, locking nut, you're done. I think that's really cool and definitely something worth calling out if you want to have a motor on a kayak, but you don't want to do all the complexities and problem solving that comes along with rigging. So stay tuned for us rigging this out with some tips and help from our buddy. We're gonna put foot steering on this, we'll put a rear mount motor, we'll do all the stuff. So be subscribed. When that video drops, you'll be ready. You'll get a notification. Maybe if you ring that notification bell, you can see what goes on. This is what we do on this channel. If you haven't been here before, we do all sorts of reviews. Our goal is to provide you guys with real, unbiased, unsponsored reviews so that you can make better buying decisions. End of the day, our reviews are the buy it or don't reviews. So buy it or don't. If you like the Wildy, awesome. If you don't, awesome. All I want to do is help you answer some questions before you go and make that purchase. If that seems interesting to you guys, be sure to subscribe, and we will catch y'all out on the water next time.
Bye-bye.